in the world. As you can see, it is a stunning morning here at Djuma. We've got beautiful clouds and a beautiful sunrise. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got VM the Wildebeest, and as I said just now, we are coming to you live from South Africa, which means that this is interactive. Hashtag Safari Live, or on Twitter or on YouTube chat if you want to get hold of us and be able to ask any questions, or if you just want to say hello, really. Now, the plan is for this morning, I don't quite know where I want to head. VM and I have been sitting here contemplating carefully our next move while watching this beautiful sunrise. We've been sitting here thinking about where we could go. I don't think the Nkuhumas, unfortunately, are going to be back anytime soon. I got an update yesterday that they were on the western side of Simbambili, which is basically in Ottawa, which is very, very far from where we are, and the chances of them getting all the way back here is quite slim. Now, we did hear a lion calling this morning. Well, VM heard a lion calling this morning. I heard absolutely nothing, but VM heard a lion calling this morning. He said it was very far away, so I don't know if lions are going to be on the menu for the morning. We will try and check, but we will also try and see if we can find tracks for whichever leopard was making those noises last night at the end of drive. So I think the plan is just to do a bit of the central parts of Djuma, just to see if there is any tracks, any signs of our spotted cats, and then from there I'm not sure where we're going to go. It's a warm day still. There's a bit of a cooler breeze than what we've had in the last two mornings, so I think that cold front is slowly but surely coming, but it still promises, I think, to be quite a warm day. So I think by around 8 o'clock it's going to be quite hot, and most of the animals will be seeking some sort of shelter. So we're going to try and utilize these cooler conditions that we have right now and see if we can't track down one of our predators. What we do have at the moment is quite a few antelope species that have been around on quarantine clearings for most of the morning. There's a couple impalas, there's some Nyalas as well that are drifting about, and most of these guys were actually on the clearing itself when we first arrived. You can see there the Nyala males also stuck in the bush there and having a little bit of a feed, and most of them were on quarantine clearings and spent most of the night there, in fact, and they've now started to just amble off as the sun has risen and go off into these thicker areas where they can start feeding. It's really interesting though, there seems to be this movement of a lot of Nyala onto quarantine at night, and not last night, the night before, I noticed a mega herd of Nyala. In fact, at first I thought it was a herd of impala. It was quite weird actually to see it. But how many did we count? Well, it was 16 or 18. I think it was 16 or 18 different, well, Nyala females, and then a whole bunch of males as well. So really big herd that's hanging around at the moment, and it's quite cool to see so many Nyalas. It's not often that we do see big herds like that. Normally it's just 3 or 4 that are scattered around together. So it was quite something to actually see. So I'm sure they're about. And then there was also some zebras at some point, which I think are up in front here. So I'm going to just try and go forward a little bit and just see if they're still hanging around. They were kind of close to where I stay, so I did see them this morning when I came down to start work, and they were milling around and doing zebra things, which is like rolling and eating, and that's about it really. That's what a zebra does, and avoid being eaten themselves. But it seems as though we're going to have a definite change in weather. These clouds that we're seeing this morning are indicative of a cold front coming, and so I would imagine that we're going to see it very much a change in weather by this afternoon, or maybe even tomorrow morning. Right, no sign of the zebras that were in this particular area this morning, and so I'm going to carry on. But there is a group of people that are out and joining me this morning, and that is Brent, Jamie, Tayla in the Mara. And so I think Brent is raring to go and is through the gate and would love to say hello. So let's go across to him so we can say good morning.
Morning! Hello Tristan, maybe I should say hello to you guys first and then hello to the rest of the world watching. My name is Tayla, and on camera with me today is Jahawi, and well, we're going down the escarpment road as you can see at the moment. So it'll take us some time to get to the bottom before we start for our search. I have absolutely no idea what we're going to be looking for today. I talk absolute nonsense. I've already went over the for a leopard today, that big male leopard that we saw the other evening, which was quite nice. We're going to go have a scratch around that particular area. Who knows, maybe we get lucky, maybe we don't. The grass is so tall, there is a possibility that we don't see him at all. But perhaps you're a little bit late in joining Safari Live this morning, or joining us on the show. That's okay. I understand if you've got to get your coffee or tea fix, no problem. But remember, you can chat to us, you can hashtag Safari Live, or you can talk to us via the YouTube chat. That is also acceptable. Okay. Looking very quiet though, from what I can see. I don't see any big gatherings of animals, no big herds of zebra. A couple of impala scattered here and there, but very, very far away. They seem to be chasing each other around at the moment. But yeah, so we'll probably head straight in that direction. But where the leopard is quite far away. It's maybe about a 30-minute drive, 35-minute drive just to get to the turnoff. And then we're going to drive on a very small sort of 2-track along the lugger for quite a few kilometers. And then hopefully he'll be around there somewhere. It would be nice. I wonder if the Angamas ended up getting a kill. Yesterday, obviously, the gremlins attacked us, but they did try and stalk a warthog. It was quite nice watching the youngsters in the pride, these sub-adults. They must be just over a year or so. They got quite close to this warthog. Warthog had no idea, but it was a massive boar. And eventually when the boar realized that the young lions are there and the adults are sort of just watching from the distance, he sort of snorted, and you could see they were very nervous. They didn't want to do it. You know, a warthog could quite easily kill a young lion, no problem with those sharp tusks. So that was quite cool. But I didn't see them or go out yesterday afternoon. I didn't follow up. I don't know if Jamie went to them either. I can't remember. Right. Just having a look around. Some animals. Let's keep going though. Because we've got an objective today, we're going to try and keep going. Now, Heather, you've said that the Mara is just so beautiful. It is. It's breathtaking. It's definitely one of the prettier areas. Although everywhere you go and everywhere you have the privilege of visiting has its own unique charm. Obviously, Mara's got open space, whereas, for instance, Djuma is slightly different. Djuma is very thick, but the little areas around the river, around the Mulati and other little spots are very, very pretty too. Although the northern Sabi Sands, is, in my opinion, is not the prettiest. Probably, if I have to be honest, it's northern Sabi Sands in general, because there's no big river systems. It's probably the ugliest area in the Sabi Sands. You go further south, it's unbelievable down there. I always tell you about the beautiful big fig trees. James and Brent and Tristan and Scott as well would have told you, especially before work down on the southern sands, how beautiful it is to see the big granite boulders and the big fig trees and big sandy rivers in the dry season. You know, it's quite nice. Although the Mulati's got a certain charm about it as well. But obviously it's quite narrow and it doesn't really rage like the Sand River or the Sabi River does, or even the Msutlu or the what else is there? The Sobatlatla is another one that was quite cool as well, that meandered through Sabi. But this is nice. This is very nice. The sunrises and the sunsets are unbelievable here. And I suppose that's because there's so many opportunities, photographic opportunities, you know, with all these beautiful balanites trees. They silhouette the sky, well, against the sky, or you get the odd elephant, if you're lucky, or group of impala, you know, standing just a little bit higher than you. And just go out at 4x4. Right, so we're going to carry on. We're actually going to pick up the pace quite a bit now once we jump on the main road and head towards that area before the light gets too terrible. Brent is all powered up. He's been across the river. Let's go and see if he heard any strange sounds during the night.
Hello. It looks like I'm going to rob a bank today, and there's a very good reason for that. Around us are these tiny little midges that sting like crazy, and they seem to be attracted to my neck and face. So I've got my buff on, I've got my kikoi on. My name is Brent Smith, and I'm avoiding biting midges in the Masai Mara. I have Sebastian Rombi on camera, and we have decided to come a little bit away from where we were. We spent the whole day with that female cheetah yesterday. Unfortunately, she then went through some big dips and out of signal area. They're coming. Evil little midges. So we're going to try to keep moving. We're going to go see if we can find the 5 boys. There's a couple of reasons for this. We're going to go towards there, and then hopefully we can find them and tell Jamie where they are, because she's going to be based out of Talek for the next few days, and then from there we'll move our way, because I've heard Malika has also moved into the Ronkai Valley, so quite far from where we were with her last week. So we're going to see if we can find her, but in the meantime, let's carry on. We had quite a lot of rain last night, so the roads up here are very slippery, which is fun. You can do lots of tricks, you can slide around, you can even probably, if you really wanted to, you could do a 360-degree slide and end up facing the same direction you started. So the boys were up in those ridges yesterday and they were hungry. So what I'm hoping is they've headed back down towards their favorite area, Balloon Crossing. So I'm going to go have a quick look around there. I have had the boys up here before as well, so I thought I would start in this area. Hi, William. William's wondering, what do we do about fuel when we go on a 4-day soiree? Well, William, fortunately... Oh, look. There's a harrier. A female harrier. Let's try to get a bit closer. And here's the first test of the morning for everyone, to try identify which harrier it is. Now look at those outer tail feathers. It's one of the diagnostics of the females. So let's try to get a frontal view of her. But William, these are diesel vehicles. So on a 4-day soiree, we get about 700 or 800 kilometers out of a tank. So we fill before we leave, and we don't really need to refill again till we get back into camp. Oh, she's off. I love the way they fly. And they glide over the grassland, looking... Oh, she's got something. Oh, did she catch it? Was she successful? Let's just wait a second and watch to see if she pops up. Now, I was just saying how I love the way they glide over the grasslands. And they are incredibly efficient hunters of small rodents and insects. Now, there's a very, very distinct little giveaway to which harrier it is. And when she flashed, you saw there was a bit of a white bottom. Now, that white bottom is present in both female harriers that we get here, of the grey harriers. So we're going to have to go have a closer look. Hopefully she doesn't take off. Now, quite often when I've been sidetracked by following birds, you suddenly see a cheetah under a tree or a lion strolling past. Now, I don't want to get too close. We don't want to disturb her, that she might leave whatever hard one mousey or bug she's caught. I'm just trying to see. Went down behind this termite mound here. Oh, there she goes. Oh, she's finished eating it. Now you can see the white on the back of her bottom. Now that is not a diagnostic. Now what you're looking for to identify the different female harriers or juvenile harriers is the amount of barring or striping on her chest. So the one has got a lot more than the other. Oh, she spotted something else. There's Kikarok in the distance. I just love the way they fly. Now that's the ranger's station, Kikarok. Oh, is she gonna go? Now we're seeing underneath her nicely. So we do have some guesses in. Yes, I didn't do it, says a female harrier. Yes, we're aware it's a female harrier. Oh, there's a balloon as well. We're wondering which female harrier. So it is one of the two grey harrier species. We have two. Robert says pallid harrier. Well, Robert, you were very close. It is the other. It is a female Montagu's harrier. Now, Oh, sorry. It is a female. I would say a female Montagu's Harrier. Now, what I was looking at specifically was in the wings. So the Montagues have, even in the females and the sub-adults, have that little line down the wings. And the barring, there's a bit more white on the female Montagues. So there we go. You can see a female Montagues. Or possibly, no, I'm almost sure it's a female Montagu's Harrier. Now, they are quite common here. The pallid harriers we have seen, but they are far less common. It's quite easy with the males, but with the females it is a lot more tricky to tell the difference. Now, you never know that summer is coming to Djuma. There's always a possibility you might see a Montagu's or pallid harrier at Djuma as well. Let's find out if Tristan's ever seen one in the Sabi Sands.
Slowly but surely worked our way southwards just to come and check if there's any sign of these male lions roaring, and so far nothing on Djuma, but I have heard a report that they could potentially be on Chitwa, so I'm trying to get hold of the guys on Chitwa just to find out if there are any lions on that side, or if it was just my hearing that is a bit off. The radio is really, really bad for the Eastern Channel, so it's very difficult to make out anything when it comes to kind of what's going on this side of the world. I've got to be right next to people before I can hear even a word that they say, so I'm not 100% sure if I got it right. I know one male is definitely on Cheetah Plains because we got that update on the Northern Channel, which is the nice clear one, so I know that for sure. But in terms of whether the other two are on Chitwa, I'm not 100% sure. Also, I can't just drive into a sighting, so I've got to try and make a sort of find out what's going on, and if indeed there actually are lions, and whether or not I can go to them. But at least it sounds as though there's something happening. It's good news. Maybe even if it's tracks, it's still hopeful that we might get to see one of the Birminghams today. That would be quite nice. I wouldn't mind spending some time with a couple of the Birminghams. What do you think, VM? I think so too, yes. VM agrees, so that's what we're doing. We're now just checking the southern boundary just to double check that nothing's come over onto Djuma, because potentially, obviously, it could have happened that they might have crossed on this side. So I'm just checking and hoping that I can get in range of the guys in the east and be able to then talk to them and find out what's going on and how everything is working on that side. But it definitely is a different feel this morning to what it was yesterday. By this time yesterday, it was already starting to feel quite hot and quite sort of close and really not very comfortable, whereas this morning it's actually getting a little bit cooler. It's actually starting to cool down more than it is actually getting warm. So there's a nice cloud bank that is coming in. I don't think it's going to last much of the day, but there's still this kind of bank of cloud that is moving in from the sort of southeast, and that's where a lot of our big storm systems come from in the summer months. That's where we get our cyclones off the Mozambican Channel, and generally a lot more rain. Now I'm just going to pull off the road here and let this vehicle go past because they don't have the same clearance that we do, so we're going to be nice and polite and let them go. Those are obviously people that are leaving and going back home after a little holiday and a little jaunt in the Sabi Sands, and I hope that they had a wonderful time. I'm sure they did. Wherever they stayed, it's pretty much guarantee that they will have a good time, really. The sightings have been really good for a lot of the guys that have been in this area. So now I need to just try. I've just heard somebody on the radio, so I wonder if they can hear me. So I do apologize about using the radio, but it's at least if I can hear somebody. Any station that he's copying me. Doesn't seem like anybody can actually hear me. Oh well, we'll just try and drive around and hope that we don't bump into anybody and cause any trouble as we do it. Hopefully there'll be there we go, somebody did hear me. Can I get an update for the east, please? We're just listening, trying to wait for somebody to reply to me. Okay, copy that. Just trying to get an update for the east. No, it doesn't seem like anybody's actually being able to give me an update. It's just kind of random. So I think the guys are trying to relay for me because some guys have better radios than others, and so hopefully somebody can give me some sort of sign of what's going on. Heather, so Tumba, the last time he was seen was 3 nights ago. That's when he was last seen. In fact, just in front of me where I am now, he was seen just crossing over there and onto this particular area. So I'm actually just going to go and check that section and try and go and have a little look. Go ahead. Also, we need to pick up a bit of litter that's on the side of the road. Copy that, thank you very much. I'll make my way. Now I just want to pick this up because nobody likes a bit of tissue paper in the road. It's not very pleasant. Somebody's obviously gone to the loo and then left their tissue around, so I don't really want it on the road, and I don't really want it in the car, but we can't leave it there, and we can't have a situation where we've got a whole bunch of litter in the bush itself. So I'm going to just try and move out of the way of Tax, who's on his way southwards, also towards Cheetah Plains, I think, to go and have a little look at the Birmingham that's on that side. And well, I think we're going to strike it lucky too, because by the sounds of it, I have a nice surprise for all of you, which is very, very good. So let's try and have a little look and see what goes on in front here, because apparently there's something lurking on Chitwa Open. What it is, I don't know. I just got told I can go there, so I'm going to go and have a look and see what it is, and see if I get lucky with something very cool. I have a feeling that it is one of the Birminghams, but that's kind of roughly what I think. I don't know for sure, but like I say, this is a bit of a mystery to us, so it's quite fun just to drive and not know where you're actually heading, but either way it will be fun. Roshni, you're saying you're going to keep your fingers crossed for a lion sighting. No, me too, Roshni. I'm hoping as well. Now, of course, I've got to try and find everybody, and I don't quite know. There we go. I can see a car already, which is good news. So let's see what we've got here in front. I'm hoping that it is something lion-y or leopardy. Like I say, I'm not 100% sure what animal it is. I just heard something about Birminghams, and I heard something about Chitwa Open and Cheetah Plains. Now, I don't know whether or not the ones here at Chitwa are Birminghams, but given that the guys have off-roaded and have headed into that direction, I would imagine that it must be Birminghams that are in this area. Yes, I can see one Birmingham already, actually. Excellent news. This is going to be fun. So we're going to have, it's a very fast asleep kitty at the moment that I can see, but, well, it is a cat, and that's always quite pleasant. And I haven't seen the Birminghams in so long, it's going to be tough to recognize who's who these days. There's actually 2 of them, so there's more than one. There's one on my right hand side and one straight ahead of me, which is awesome news. So we'll go and sit with the one on the right while the other guys watch the one on the left. They look as though they're very tired cats. They obviously were up to lots of different things last night, and we heard the roaring this morning. VM heard the roaring this morning, and so maybe they've all roared themselves out and are a little bit on the tired side. But I don't know who we've got just yet. I'll let you know shortly. It looks like Nena on my right hand side. On the left, I'm not 100% sure, but at least we've got one Birmingham that is fairly out there. And actually, this is Tinyo that I've got on my right hand side. So here's Tinyo, and on the left hand side, I'm not quite sure just yet. But these guys, as far as I know, have been all over the place recently. We've had a situation where these males have been down on Mala Mala, particularly Tinyo. I know I saw a video of Tinyo chasing another male and then fighting with one of his coalition members, and so he's been busy down in the south and has been causing a bit of chaos, and maybe that's why he's a little bit on the sort of tired side of life. But really good to see the Birminghams kind of back in this area. They look like they're very tired, but what I'm hoping is, because we're sitting here and there's sun that's rising and there's not that many clouds, I'm hoping that the sun is going to break through these clouds, get onto these lions, that'll make them wake up a little bit and then start to move around. Now, I believe a lot of you are very excited that we've managed to find some of the Birminghams. Well, I'm very excited too, and I suppose we didn't really find anything. We just listened to the radio, and I suppose VM's kind of hearing of the call got us coming this way, but it was at least the other guys that found them. But still very cool to see, and you can see it's definitely Tinyo. His lip kind of sits up slightly on that left side. It almost curls in towards his teeth, and you can see his bottom canine when he's sleeping like that. You also can see that he's in a little bit of a dream, so his bottom lip is twitching. He's got really quite a nice dark mane as well around his chest. Tinyo seems to have the darkest kind of patch on that chest area, and so a little easier to identify him from that. Becca, you're asking how many lions there are in the resident pride. Well, the coalition that we see, so the Birmingham males, there's 4 of them, and then in the Nkahuma pride, which is the pride that we see the most, there is 5 adult females, 6 sub-adults, and then 2 new cubs. The third cub, I believe, is no longer there, so it's only 2 brand new little cubs. And so when the pride is all together, we have a situation where there is let me just double check this, but my maths is correct, but it should be that there are 17 lions in total in that pride. The other pride that we see sometimes, it's not always that we see them, but sometimes, is the Styx pride, and that's 3 adult females, and they have 2 older cubs, then they have 4 medium cubs and 4 little cubs at the moment. So those are the 2 prides that we see here on Djuma at some stages. But the Birmingham males then service both of those prides as well as another pride. The Birmingham males also will go up into Torchwood as well. But I wonder why these boys are so tired, given that it's not exactly very, very hot. I would have thought that we might have seen them still at least have their heads up. I didn't think they'd be this sleepy so early in the morning. We've only just got started and they're already very tired. And it's not like they have full bellies either. They look as though they could do with a meal. Tinyo, are you going to wake up for us? I think the flies are irritating him. You can see he was pawing at his face, and maybe he's got 1 or 2 little cuts or scrapes from when he and one of the other males were fighting the other day, and the flies might just be irritating him. Now that the sun's up, you'll find that the flies will be out and about, and unfortunately that's going to mean he's going to be a little on the uncomfortable side. Now, I think it was the name, I'm not 100% sure, but you're asking if Tinyo still carries mange. Now, if you look on his tummy there, you'll see that he's got quite a dark gup. There we go. Sorry about that, gup. But you can see there on the tummy there's still this kind of black scarring, and so that's from mange. You can actually see a little bit of the scabbing sort of towards the armpits. So he does have a little bit still. It's not much, but he does have a little bit, and it is healing, and he's finding that the hair is starting to grow back a little bit, but it's still present there. So I'm sure once we've had another summer, hopefully that will wash him clean, and that will be the end of it, and we won't see any more sort of issues with mange on Tinyo himself. He's had a tough time of it. He was the one that was really badly affected by it right in the beginning. But that is one tired cat, and I don't know if they're going to move anywhere at the moment. Like I say, what we need is the sun to come out. If the sun comes out, then we'll find a situation where these males might get up and start moving and kind of try and seek shelter. But for now, I think we're going to see them just very sleepy. Linda, lion prides will try and, I suppose, avoid each other if they are on the fringes of their territory. If they're in a situation where they are right on, sort of in the heart of their territory, and there's another pride that comes in, then no, they're going to be very confrontational. They're going to go and they're going to try and chase those lions away. If it's on a fringe or an area where they're kind of pushing into a new place, you might find they'll hear lions roaring and avoid them. Also, when it comes to coalitions, a lot of the time you'll find coalitions will push and try and expand their boundaries, much like the Birminghams are doing now. They're going south into Malamala, into Londolozi, a little bit into Ottawa, and so they're starting to kind of push and radiate outwards. And every time they hear, let's say, the Majingalans calling, often you'll find that if they're not all together, they might turn and come backwards and just try and avoid that confrontation until such time as they feel that they have the numerical advantage, or they have some sort of advantage over the individuals that they hear calling. So they do try and avoid each other, and that's why they roar and scent mark and all of these other things, is to try and avoid having to actually clash and fight, because a fight with male lions could ultimately lead to the death. In terms of prides, yes, prides will chase other prides out if they feel like it's in their territory, but if they're on the fringes and they hear another pride calling, you might find that they'll just retreat back and come back into where they know that they're safe. So it's a bit of both. I mean, at the end of the day, they do try and avoid some, but sometimes they'll also be confrontational if they need to be. Now, I think what I'm going to do is probably try and go and reposition at the other male and just go and see what we've got on that side, or who we've got, should I say. But while I do that, let's go back to Tayla McCurdy. Now, I have to apologize because I called Tayla Brent just now, and I also hope that Tayla's feeling much better. I know she's been under the weather the last few days, so hopefully, T-Bomb, you're feeling better. But let's go across to her and see what she's been up to.
I am feeling much better, thank you, Tristan. I'm just looking. What on earth is that? Oh, we've got hyenas, but there's actually a bird. I'm sorry, Jahawi, I'm throwing you in the deep end there. It's flying. It's about to fly past the giraffe. and I've never seen it before. It's got a white tail band, which is sort of like what a harrier hawk would have, or just a harrier would have. There it goes. But it was brown. The rest of its body was completely brown with this very, very white tailband. That's fantastic. I've never seen that bird before. I also don't have my big bird book with me. I've got a smaller one, which you can have a look at in a moment. I'm going to, if I can roll back. This is hyenas. Hi, hyenas. Are you sleeping in this little culvert? These are actually not pretty looking hyenas. Have a look at them. And just two. So there's basically a massive concrete pipe that runs underneath. It basically just filters the slug and allows water to go back and forth. And something like hyenas, porcupines do it as well, are typical culprits of utilizing it for dens or just sort of resting spots. In the Kruger National Park, if you want to see hyenas and find a den, just check underneath all those little culverts and you most certainly will find one. Look at these hyenas though, they're not the prettiest. Now we know, it's a shame, hyenas are not blessed with beauty. I think they're sort of quite quirky. They're my second favorite animal after the elephants. But they've just got unusual shapes to their faces. You almost look like you've been stung by a bee a little bit on the side of your head, don't you? And you're shaking your head saying, no, don't say that about me. I think I disturbed them. They look like they were fast asleep. I'm going to go back to sleep now. So we're still on our way towards our other spotted friend. Well, hopefully we're going to find him. There haven't been any reported sightings just yet. But as soon as we get through there and start passing some guides, we'll ask away. At the moment, it has just been the hot air balloon crew setting up all the breakfasts and things like that. Where are you going to go? I wonder if it's going to come through the water. Oh, this is cool. Hello, this is lovely hyena. Now, Roshni, you're wondering if I slept well with the zebras visiting me last night. It was actually quite funny. So we have zebra that come through camp all the time, hyenas, and as well as elephants. But sometimes what happens is they get too close. The zebra are very comfortable around us and as well as around the tents. See, look, it's going to go into the basically in the drain now. You're so funny, hyena. And they eat all the nice green grass that's growing in between the guy ropes of the tents. So, and they're quite happy to do that. And I don't know if maybe the Askari or somebody walked out last night, but this one got such a fright. And I'm actually going to have to move because there's a big tractor coming up behind me. And it's probably going to chase these hyenas away just because it makes a lot of noise. So we'll keep going. We'll keep on our plan. But thank you very much, hyena. It was very nice to see you this morning. And somebody or something, zebra panicked and ran and obviously got caught on the guy ropes somehow, but then we know what zebras often do when they burst into a gallop as well, they pass wind. So there was a variety of sounds coming from the zebra as it was trying to get away, and the ground was really wet because we had quite a bit of rain, so it was slippery. So I'm just sitting in my tent going, please, I don't want to have my tent moved or, be dragging in my tent with the zebra attached to it. Of course, the zebra was 100% fine. Only reason I laughed was because I knew that it was okay. I actually got out my tent and I had a little look, and it was just sort of standing there going, what just happened? Just as surprised. And then it put its head down and carried on eating. But so that was really comical last night to hear that. And then there were lots of hyenas whooping. And then also thank you everybody for all the wonderful messages. Just waving to Little Governor's balloon team for all the messages. I was very sick 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago? But I'm feeling much better today. I'm just trying to get rid of this stupid headache that I now have. But I will survive. But it's nice to eat food again. That was great. I'm pretty sure we can't be too far away now. We must be getting there slowly. Now, Anthony, you're wondering if I have to worry about snakes in camp? Wherever you go in the bush, it's just a general guideline. It doesn't necessarily just pertain to Africa, but if you go to Australia or in the States, whenever you go out into the wilderness, watch where you put your feet. If you've left your boots outside, make sure you tip them out, bang them out. Lots of things will try and go and get warm, from scorpions to snakes to frogs, all these different things. So just be careful. And then just remember, of course, that when you have had a couple of colder days or after rain, often snakes will come out and try try and get warmth on the ground. So at night too, especially here where there's snakes like puff adders, maybe the rattlesnakes and the rest of the snakes in the Viperidae family would do a similar thing. Maybe it's a trait of theirs. They'll come out and then of course they're reluctant to move, and that's when accidents can happen. And a lot of people that end up getting bitten in South Africa, most of the time it is during the day, but there's quite a few occurrences of people standing on puff adders at night. And I remember that living on the farms with horses and things, are often during the night on the pathway there'd just be a puff adder, or even on the game reserves you see it. So just be careful. I saw a garter snake the other night, which was quite cool. I had it on my Insta story. I know a few of you were actually asking about it. It was quite late after the show had ended, and it was really beautiful. It was black and white. I might have some pictures. I'll have a look. But it was quite cool. I've never seen a garter snake before. And then what else have I seen? I've seen a mamba, a green mamba of sorts here. Could be the eastern green mamba or the Jamisons, I'm not sure. I saw I think it was an olive house snake that I saw there, and then I saw something else, looked like a sand snake that whipped past me the other afternoon, just near my tent actually. So they're around, but they like to stay nice and hidden. I have absolutely no idea who I'm sending you across to. I missed that, but that's okay, because you'll have fun in their car anyway.
Well, look at this. I know Tristan found some male lions. We have one. Hello. Pop your head up. Beautiful specimen of a lion. And he's just heard something. Now, I have no idea who this lion is or who his friends are, because there's not one, but 5. We set out looking for 5 cheetah. Instead, we've found 5 male lions, and possibly one of the strangest looking lions I've seen. He's got his back to us. Let's just drive around. I want to show you his face. Now, when I first saw him, I thought he was a little young male. But he looks as big as the others. He just looks like someone went at him with a hair shaver and shaved his mane. He's big in body. Hey, boys. Oh, look at that. Look at these 3 in a row. Now you all have to turn your head at the same time. Oh, only one. Oh, he's a bit angry. Look at that. Perfectly in a row. 3 beautiful big boys. Still a little bit young. I think we might have a very interesting situation going here. I almost think the funny-looking male off to the right is possibly trying to join a coalition. These aren't the dominant males I've seen in this area before. Now look how funny it is. It looks like someone's just taken a hair shaver to him. Now he's big. Donald is wondering, are lions aware of their surroundings when they're asleep? He's just talking. I think he might be trying to join this coalition. That is one possibility. As you can see, he almost looks maybe like a teddy bear. Big fluffy teddy bear. It really looks like someone shaved his hair, shaved his mane. It's all uniform length and perfectly manicured. So, Donald, yes, Donald was wondering, are lions aware of their surroundings when they're asleep? They are. They will wake up when they hear something or whatnot. Now, he looks like he's been whacked a bit last night. He's got quite a lot of fresh wounds and bite marks. So, it's. I don't think these are the dominant males that I've seen in this area before. I'm at the top end of the Ronkai. But there are exquisite males. I don't know if they've just moved into this area, and this fluffy lion is trying to join the coalition. Now, sometimes when joining coalitions, you do get beaten up, but of course the long-term rewards are worthwhile. There is obviously the other option that he could be. He looks too old to be one of their sons. I mean, you can see that It's just a strange mane, I think. Very interesting. Come wide, Sip. It looks like this other male might give him a bit of a hiding. Then say hello to his friends first. Becca is wondering whether unrelated males will join a coalition. Becca, there's in certain areas, everyone assumes that all male coalitions are related. See, I think they're growling at him, not at us. Oh, he gave a little growl back. This is very interesting. So, Becca, yes, a lot of coalitions are formed from unrelated males. I think we could get a lion fight here. I think my plans have changed. I'm very interested in seeing how this plays out. I might look for the cheetah a bit later, but this is fascinating. This is not something you get to see every day. So I don't think it's their son. I do think it's a male possibly trying to join the coalition or has run into these four boys. And if we look at his back leg of the fluffy lion. Now, if any of you guys, you can see, those are all relatively fresh bite marks. Now, I think a lot of the action might have happened during the night, but it doesn't mean it's over just yet. This is fascinating to watch. Now, if you come out, Seb, and we have a look in the ground over here, you can actually see where there's been fights and scuffles.
Oh yeah.
You can see on the ground that there's been some definite action around here during the night. Now, joining a coalition isn't always the easiest thing. Sometimes it does take a bit of beating up to sort of prove your worth. And you can see there's some wildebeest in the background just watching. And the lions seem far more preoccupied with each other. Now, if old Fluffy fails to... he thought he was going to get up. No, he's going to lie down flat. But every time he moves, there's a little from one of the older males or one of the definite coalition, just from the way they're lying. And he's 5 meters away. This is very, very interesting. Beautiful sky as well. It seems like they all calmed down a little bit for now. And of course we know that can change in an absolute split second, especially with male lions. Oh, I know ambulance is up, but it might be a bit too far. You can hear what sounds like a lion roaring in the distance. And it's not, it's an ostrich.
I don't know if we're picking it up.
Alright, stop now. Of course, there's always some comfort in being 4 as opposed to 1, and you can see he's sleeping very, very comfortably. I didn't do it is wondering, would the 4 lions kill the other one? There is a possibility. If the fight got heated enough, one bite along the spine or it could easily kill another lion. Male lions, when they do fight, it is very, very, very spectacular. However, they are hesitant to go full fighting, especially if these are not males that are dominating over territories and prides yet, because of the injury. You can see there we go, some more fresh wounds on his back. They might injure themselves very badly as well. But yes, male lions definitely do kill other male lions. But a lot of this lion's movements are quite submissive. Let me in, guys. I want to be part of the club. Please, look, guys. I'll be such a good boy. I'll do all the main fighting for you. Now, MJ is wondering, how long does it usually take for a male lion to join a coalition? A couple of days sometimes, but normally into weeks, or 10 days to 2 weeks, hanging around the peripheries of a coalition, acting submissive, and just like that, and just generally being around and taking the beatings when they come, and giving enough back to show that it's worthwhile for these lions to let him into the coalition, that he'll be a value adding member. There's ostrich calling again. It's far away though. Michelle is saying, is it unusual for him to stay after a fight? Michelle, not if he's trying to join this coalition of 4 males. He will hang around until either they beat him too badly that he decides the risk is not worth the reward, or eventually he is accepted into the coalition. Before he's fully accepted, it'll be sometimes a month or 2, but normally about 7 to 14 days for him to really ingrate himself and be sort of marginally accepted. Now I hear lions in the distance. Maybe that'll spark these boys to start roaring. Far away towards the Talek River. And only one male seems to be paying attention. So I'm just listening. Oh, look at that sky. It's stunning as well. It's just... Let's see. I'm going to move around to see the other boys' faces to see if they've got any distinguishing scars. Okay, so I'm definitely going to stay with these 5 boys for a little bit longer, see if anything happens. While we do that, let's shoot all the way back to the Greater Kruger and the Birmingham boys.
Well, you can see we've come and repositioned at the other male line, and that is Mfumo. So Mfumo is having a really very, very, very sleepy nap this morning. It seems as though both of these individuals, both Tinyo and Mfumo, are in a situation where they are completely fast asleep. They're not even moving. We had a whole herd of impala that walked right past Tinyo, maybe even not even 15 meters from him, and he didn't even wake up. He didn't even look at them for once. And so I don't think our boys are going to be too active today. I think they are really down and out. But what I'm hoping is there's a third Birmingham walking around on Cheetah Plains, and apparently he's walking quite fast, and what I'm hoping is that he might make some sort of a noise that could potentially get these guys to wake up a little bit. Also, being at Chitwa Open, there's a lot of animals that come through here, so there's a lot of waterbuck and impalas and kudu and various other things that come to drink. So even though it looks fairly sedate and stationary at the moment, it's not a bad idea just to sit and wait for a while before we kind of move on and just see what happens. You never know, maybe these 2 boys do start to wake up. But you can see Mfumo is looking absolutely wonderful. He's looking better than what Tinyo is, I must be honest. And VM was saying that he seems as though he's a little bulkier too. If you look at his forearms, if you want to call it that, they are massive. His front legs and front paws are really quite large, and he's got that distinctive scar under the right eye that makes him quite noticeable. So he's looking good, and his mane is starting to fill out quite nicely. He's got a bit of darkness coming in around the chest area, so he's becoming a lot more handsome than he was a few months ago when he had a couple of scratches and scars and looked a little bit on the tatty side. But like I say, you can see that these two are not waking up. Tinyo popped his nose, and Tinyo had his head up for all of about 1 second and then put his head back down again. There's another vehicle that came in just to come and see them, but with, like I say, the sleepiness of these two, I think there's not going to be much activity at all this morning. I think we're going to see this where they kind of pop their heads up and then back to sleep again. It's really quite strange, though. I would have thought in weather that we've got now that they might have spent a lot more time just waking up and actually looking around. It's not like it's very hot to make them sleep, but obviously it's been a long night that they're as sleepy as they are right now. And this is a nice place to be. Like I said, there's lots happening at Chitwa Dam. There's always birds calling and Egyptian geese making noise. You hear the hippos grunting and snorting in the background every now and then. Randomness, the reason they were named the Birmingham boys is because they come from an area called...
Quick link, and Facebook Live. Guys, look at this. The four males have suddenly stood up. Wasn't that incredible? I didn't say anything so you could hear those amazing sounds. This is live from the Masai Mara. We have a young male lion trying to join the coalition of 4 older males, and they are giving him a really hard time. And he's going to keep trying to join them. Wasn't that amazing? My name's Brent. Seb's on camera. This is Seb's first male lion fight. Those sounds just go straight through you. Now, the 4 males are moving away. It's going to be very interesting to see what the younger one, what the smaller man does. Is he going to continue to try follow them, to join their band of brothers? Now, for him, as a single male lion, it is worth sometimes taking those beatings to be able to join a group of 4 males. It means he's going to have a lot better chance at surviving out in this fierce land that is the Masai Mara. If he's by himself and he gets older, he might join or might come across a group of 4 older males that hold territory already, and that would be the end of him. Now, at the moment, it looks to be quite a bit of sort of testing. Is he worth it? Is he going to be a good member to join the coalition? And now the other 3 of the males walked off. 1 is still sitting there. So if he follows them, he could be still trying to join them. Now, this could have been going on for a couple of days already, and sometimes it can take 7 days to 14 days for a coalition to allow a new member in. Now, I don't think he's too much younger than them. He's just got a very, very strange mane. It looks like someone gave him a crew cut. But he is a very beautiful looking lion. Now, they were all lying opposite each other, about 5 meters from each other, in absolute... Look at the drool coming off his chin after that fight. Ex-Ranga is wondering, would his short mane play any part in him being accepted into the coalition or not? I don't think so. I think it'd be more how he stands up to the beatings he's been taking. And when I look at the ground around, I can see this has been going on all night. I can see lots of different broken up pieces of ground where the lions have been fighting throughout the night. And he's sporting a lot of fresh wounds on his back. We can't really see them at the moment. Just with the way he's lying. Oh, sorry, that's my hand. I'm being attacked by biting midges. There's this whole swarm of these very bad little midges that actually sting. They've got a little bit of formic acid in them, so it's quite painful. But don't worry, I'll live through it to bring you this. I just want to move on to the other side of the lions. Megan says, do they have to fight to join? Unless they come into contact with each other when they're all just leaving their natal prides, yes, there will always be fighting for them to join. So I'm going to see if we can see if they've opened up any fresh wounds on his back. So you can see his back is a myriad of scars. Oh, there is a fresh wound that's been opened up. You can see there's a bit of blood coming down. Now, what is incredible about these creatures is they do have the most resilient of immune systems. Now, Charlotte is wondering, will the older boys kill him? Not necessarily, Charlotte. I don't think any of these males have their own territory yet. So they're nomadic, although the four look like they're in the perfect sort of age to start taking over from other males. If I remember correctly, this area has got two big older males, so a group of 4 young males coming in would be quite a big threat. You can see the Thompson's gazelles getting far away from those big boys as they march down towards the top end of the Ronkai River. Off they go. Oh, flop down. Now you can see that's very, very important coalition behavior. Oh, isn't that incredible? So lying on top of each other like that is part of ensuring those bonds are very close between the males. Now, there's one male that looks a bit older than the other 3, and so they could be related, they might not be. It is not uncommon for male lion coalitions not to be related. And I think that's what's happening here with this little guy trying to join. And he's got to prove his mettle. There's the last of the 4 older males moving. Now, Nicole wants to know, how will we know if he gets accepted into the coalition? Well, it's going to take a while. What's going to be very interesting now, as the last of those big feet head off to the north, is whether he gets up to follow them. So if he gets up to follow them, he's going to continue to try and join this coalition of 4 males. If he doesn't, it means he's probably decided the risk isn't worth the reward. So here he is, a little bit worse for wear, watching as those other males leave. So, as I say, whether he gets up to follow or not is going to be very, very interesting. Now, isn't this incredible? Remember, this is 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. It looks like he might be wanting to get up. Just watching the movements on his body. And Sebastian has just been attacked by the biting midges, so is them trying to get them away from his mouth. They've decided that we are very tasty this morning. So he's still watching them disappear. Is he going to join them, or is he going to take this opportunity to maybe try and move away and not take another beating? Hi, Tracy. Tracy's asking, do no lions stand a chance on their own? Tracy, they do. So what happens, well, in an area like this where big coalitions are the most common thing and they dominate the majority of the Mara, if you are a single lion who doesn't manage to join one of those coalitions, there is a way for you to pass on your genetic code, and it's to become a very sneaky lion and a nomadic lion. So what will happen is when there's a female in estrus, you'll hang around the edge, mate with her quickly, and then disappear before the dominant males find you. And in certain areas of Africa, up to 45% of the cubs are actually not born to the pride males. They're born to those sneaky males who haven't been able to join a coalition and work around the peripheries of the bigger prides and the bigger male coalitions. And they actually are quite successful because a lion is programmed to eat and pass on his genetic code. So the fighting and all that is all tied into both of those things. They'll fight over food and they'll fight over mating rights. Now, with the male lions like this, there are 4 of them, so they're already a nice big coalition. So they're quite strong, and you can see from the way they were lying on each other, those bonds between those 4 males are very, very strong. So they've probably, if they're not related, they've been together a long time, at least 2 or 3 years. Where there is this guy, you can see he's just trying to join. Now the lions are getting a little bit further away, so he looks like he keeps wanting to get up to join them. Elizabeth saying if one accepts him, we'll all accept him. Elizabeth, very difficult to say. I think he would need to be. There would be others that are more tolerant in the beginning and some that are not. So if he is tolerated by 1 or 2 of them, he could definitely make his way into the coalition eventually. Roshni is wondering, why would females encourage nomadic lions to mate with them? I don't think they encourage it. It's ingrained in them. It is to do with genetic diversity, especially in areas where you've got big coalitions of males that dominate over prides for a long time. They often end up mating with their daughters. So it is a way to make sure that there is new blood and new genetic diversity coming into the pride, even if they are stuck with the same males for an extended period of time. Normally, male lions will 4 or 5 years at the top, and that's sort of to coincide with when their first set of cubs becomes sexually mature. So they're then pushed out normally by new males, and so the mating will be with new males and not with their fathers. However, in areas where you have big coalitions, there's often an overlap, and there will not always, but quite often be a generation of cubs that have been sired or by their fathers. So they're both their father and grandfather. So let me just get this right, yes. So basically the fathers will mate with their daughters, and there'll be that generation that is inbred. Now, that's not the biggest problem with lions. Lions are able to inbreed up to about 4 or 5 generations without any adverse effects. Now, he's still watching them, but I'll show you quickly what Sebastian and I are hiding from, why I've got so much stuff around me. You can see these tiny little things. You wouldn't think that they are terrible, but they sting like anything. And this tiny, there's some making new tiny stinging things. You can see the females are slightly orange, and the males...
Yeah, Brent,
can't get there, sorry.
Well, but I can go where I am now.
Okay, well, let's have a look back at our male. So the female of these biting midges are orange, and the males are black, and basically there's piles of males all over the females. So, he's starting to call a little bit. He just did a soft contact call. So he definitely wants to join them. But now you can see he's sort of going through the motions. Was the beating worth being able to join this large coalition of males? He just keeps looking like he's about to move. We're just going to wait a little bit to see if he does get up to join them. Now, it is an absolutely stunning morning in the Mara, and we were very lucky. We spotted these guys from quite far away, and we set out looking for 5 cheetahs, and we found 5 male lions. And that's the way it goes when you're live in the African bush. We never know what is going to be around the next corner. There we go. He's showing signs that he might move. You can see, there we go, he's up. Oh, he's got a bit of a sore foot from that last beating. Oh, he's going to lie down again. So, obviously he got bitten. It looked quite high up on the leg that's causing that him to not use that leg. And, oh, does he got a new cut on his face as well? On the left side. Oh, turn your head, other way. You can see him licking like that. It might mean he's going to try clean the wounds a little bit. So that's the one that's obviously causing the most pain at the moment. Now, it might seem really, really harsh to us watching, but this is nature unfolding as it has for hundreds of thousands of years on these open plains. Oh, he looks to have kept his face reasonably pretty. I just wanted him to turn his head to the... Oh no, he's managed to keep his face relatively pretty. Now, Aubrey's wondering, what is the success rate of males joining a coalition? I'm not sure, Aubrey. I haven't seen it enough times to know. And often you will only see the male coalitions once they've already formed. Oh, look at those eyes. So it is quite difficult to say. I will do some research on it and try to find out. But the only way to really do it is to find... Don't take your aggression out on us. We didn't do anything to you. So quite often with animals, specifically after things like that, what he's displaying now is misplaced aggression at the vehicle. It's not serious, but because he's got such a hiding from those other males, he gave us a little growl and a little raise of the lip. Don't worry, we're not in any danger, and it's just the fact that he needs to sort of maybe save some face for someone, and it happens to be us. Donald is wondering, is it possible that the coalition ripped this one's mane apart? I don't think so, Donald. I just think he's got a funny mane. So all lions have had different manes. I've seen a male lion that only has a mane on the bottom and nothing up on top. He was bald up on top. So every male lion has a slightly different mane. And this guy, actually, I quite like his crew cut. It's quite pretty. Well, it looks like he's not going to follow the males now. He might definitely wait and try follow them again a little bit later, but it looks like he's going to lie down and try recover a little bit from his injuries. You can see there's even bites on the inside of his leg. Oh, he popped it down again. But that is one of the areas that male lions will go for during a fight. The mane is there to protect the throat and that area. So often male lions, if they can get into the back legs, and particularly if they can get under and onto the soft area of the stomach, that's where male lion fights can do a lot of damage. It looks like he's going to lift his leg, and then there we go. You can see a little bit higher. You see there's bites all in there, and you see the blood. So it is an area that is quite vulnerable in lions, particularly when they are fighting. Now, I think those other males haven't moved off too far. I think they're probably going to have a snooze in the trees. I've lost sight of them now. They've moved into some little thickets. But we're going to sit with this guy a bit longer, see if he does decide to follow the rest of the coalition. Oh. Are you going to move? But remember, we could go live at any time, so keep a lookout. If he does decide to follow those males, we'll follow him, and we will bring it to you as soon as it happens. So from myself, Brent and Seb, and this gorgeous crew-cut male lion, who's hoping to join those other four, hopefully we will see you a little later. Wow, guys, wasn't that incredible? This is fascinating behavior. I've only ever seen it twice before, and that's why it took me a little while to decide whether he was trying to join the coalition or not. I think he still might move towards where those males have gone into the lugger. We're going to have to wait and see. At the moment, I think he's just licking his wounds. Shame, boy. I don't know. I think I'm developing a soft spot just because of that funny mane of his.
Me too.
I say as well. I really want to see what this guy gets up to. I hope he does manage to join that coalition. Another coalition of 5 males. That will be incredibly impressive. Oh, here we go. He's going to try to sit up. It looks like he took a bad bite on his back left leg. Now, of course, I don't think it's life-threatening at all. Just sore. You can see he's really trying not to put any pressure on it, but he is slowly, well, it looked like he was going to slowly hop towards the other males, and he's decided he's going to take another break. Oh, it looks like the other males have actually crossed the lugger. Just one of them popped out of the trees now, way in the distance there. See him, Seb?
That's it.
Where's that tree? Now, if you go from that tree a little bit to the left, wait, he was a little bit more, and he just popped behind the bush again. Let me just double check.
Oh, I've got him.
You got him?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is, yeah. Well, that's actually a different one to the one I saw. Well, there are 4 of them after all. Now, it's a cool morning. So they could cover a bit of distance. They might have been trying to get away from this young male, or I don't think he's that young though, I just think he's got a strange mane. Been trying to get away from him for quite some time. He can definitely see them. He's actually watching that one that we were watching as well, and it's disappeared onto the other side. They are all hungry, all 5 of them. And there are the loiter herd of wildebeest are still around in this area. So not the migration that goes through to the Serengeti, but the local Kenyan migration. Oh, and we've had big cat action. And I just spotted something for the birders. Right opposite me there is a Kori Bustard. Oh dear. And I think I've found the 5 male cheetah as well. It's all happening out here. When Seb's finished showing you the Kori Bustard, I want him to check something else with the camera. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Actually coming towards us. Now, Seb, if we go to that hill opposite us there's a couple of cars, and that's the area I thought the 5 boys might be in before we spotted these lions, and I think I can actually see them. There they are. They're the 5-boy cheetah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to go through the lugger. I might have a bit of picture breakup. I will come back to check on what's happening with these lions, but the 5 boys look like they're on the hunt. Good luck, mister. I really like that lion. So, I'm going to have to go quite quickly. And I do apologize as we get closer to where they are. We do have to go through a dip, so we might have a bit of picture breakup. Find 5 male lions, don't move, and find 5 male cheetah. That's the way we do it, Archer. I was a bit of a cheat with the car there. I saw the cars. Have I lost communication with Faith? Faith, are you still there? Oh, big holes. I think I've lost comms with Faith, so I think we're going to send you away. I'm not sure to who, while I try get to the 5 boys.
So we've left our Birmingham males, unfortunately, not even an eye opened on either of them, and so we decided we're going to leave them for now and just go and do a little few loops around, see if maybe there's any sign of Hosanna from where he was last night. He wasn't far from the Chitwa boundary, so we're just scratching around, just having a little look. We might head back towards the Birminghams a little bit later. It's actually getting colder by the second, and so maybe they might decide to wake up towards the sort of end of drive, and so we'll go and check back in there. Also, at the end of the day, if they don't do anything this morning, we will be back here this afternoon, and hopefully you'll get a little bit more kind of activity out of them, because they really are fast asleep, and there is no movement whatsoever. I was also just standing around trying to see if there's anything that could potentially wake them up, so in terms of impalas or waterbuck or wildebeest or anything like that, and there's really very little. In fact, there was nothing. There was one impala very far away, and so I don't think there's going to be too much stimulus to get them going just yet, and so let's go and see what else there is around, and then we'll pop back in a little bit later, and hopefully they might be a little bit more active. Now, I was addressing the question about where the Birminghams get their name. Well, their name comes from where they spent time, so where they were born. They were born in an area called Birmingham, which is a farm north of us, so it's we call them farms, but it's a section of land that is part of the Timbavati Game Reserve and the Greater Kruger National Park, and that area is called Birmingham, and so the pride that they come from is the Birmingham Pride, and therefore the Birmingham name stuck with them as they moved down towards the Sabi Sands. And so it's just that they come from a different area, and that area is called Birmingham, and that's why they've got that name. It's quite a simple thing, really. At the end of the day, we see a lot of these kind of things with lions, is according to where they are or where they're from is where they get their names. But I wonder where little Hosanna went. I don't know if anybody's found him this morning. It sounds like everybody's been too busy with the Styx Pride. The Styx Pride are on a nets at the moment, the little cubs, and one of the Birminghams apparently joined there. So right on the nets, Cheetah Plains cut line, and so I don't think anyone's actually looked for Hosanna. So it might be quite nice for us just to check the boundary and just to double check where we were yesterday, where he was seen, if maybe, just maybe, he's around. You never know. It's always good to catch up with Hosanna, and there could potentially be any other leopard. We're also looking for any signs of Tamba or Tandi or Kuchava these days, I suppose, in this area. This is Kuchava's territory and her sort of place that she spends a lot of time, and so that's why we're going to have a little look around. A couple of Hadeda that have landed and making a lot of noise on the edge of the runway here. We'll stop and have a little look at them now. It's quite strange to see so many Hadeda together. Normally you just see the pairs together, but maybe that's why there's so much noise, is because there is a rival grouping that has arrived in the neighborhood, and that's causing everybody to get a little on the upset side. And there they are. So you often find them feeding in places like this. They do like kind of disturbed areas where they'll use that long beak to be able to dig up all kinds of insects. So they go after grasshoppers and crickets and locusts and all those kind of things. And crickets particularly, if you've got especially if you're in anywhere like Johannesburg and particularly the golf courses, they have a nightmare over time because lots of crickets and these guys come along and make holes everywhere. So not great if you try to have a golf course in a nice smooth green to have birds on it and pecking away at the surface and then also defecating all over the place. So they're a bit of a pest to a lot of people in the cities, but they are actually quite a nice bird. I quite like Hadedas, actually. I know they make a lot of noise and they are generally quite sort of brash birds, and that noise is not pleasant, but I don't know, they seem alright, and especially out here in this kind of environment, I really don't have too much of a problem with them when we're in the bush and kind of they in their natural habitat. The only time I ever had an issue with a Hadeda was when it used to sit on my window and call at 4 o'clock in the morning when I was at school, and that wasn't very pleasant at all. It seems like a squirrel alarm calling also not too far away, and I wonder if with these guys they're sort of their noise that they're making, the fact that they flew up, I wonder if maybe something's not lurking around here that could potentially explain why the squirrel is also alarm calling. I just want to go and see where the squirrel is. Obviously, squirrels are not very good when it comes to being reliable in any way, and are not great when it comes to being able to kind of sort of trust them with a predator, but it's worthwhile just to listen and to hear, and if you hear them, just to investigate. It costs us nothing just to have a little look around here and just double check where that squirrel might be calling from. And so, Becca, you're asking what is the ratio of birds nesting on the ground versus those in the trees? Oof, I'm not sure. I can tell you that here in the Sabi Sands we have a lot more tree nesters than we do ground nesting birds. Of the ground nesting birds that we have out here, we have lapwings, we have plovers, we have thickneys, coursers. They're all nesting on the ground. But if you think about all the other birds that we get here, there's far more that are nesting in the trees. What the actual percentage is of each, I seriously cannot tell you, and I don't think there is a figure anywhere in relation to exactly where we are. I don't think anybody's actually studied that in the Sabi Sands, but I would imagine that it must be at least a sort of 70-30% split, or maybe even more than that. So I don't think it would be lower. If you think about the number of birds that are tree nesters, I mean, all the waxbills, firefinches, shrikes, cuckoos, the list goes on. Birds of prey. It's pretty much, I would say, actually probably even 80% of our birds that we see here are tree nesters as opposed to ground nesters. So not very many birds on the ground, and the reason for that is because of the amount of predators in an environment like this. We've got lions, we've got leopards, we've got hyenas, we've got genets, civets, servals, caracals, snakes, monitor lizards. There's birds of prey. There's so many types of predators that being on the ground is a tough ask. It's not easy for those animals to be able to raise their chicks and to keep them alive, and so you end up with a situation where very few of the birds nest on the ground just for that reason. A lot more will be nesting up in the trees and places like that, where they at least can have some sort of protection either from the tree itself in the form of a thorn tree, or if they're nesting inside the tree and are able to actually kind of find a hole that they can then protect, like the hornbills and barbets and woodpeckers and the likes. But there's some talking about birds and being on the ground. There's beautiful guinea fowls that are generally running around on the ground. They typically are down. If you see these guys in the trees and calling, then you know something is up and that there should be a predator nearby. They very seldom are up in the trees, and if they are, it's normally around sunset that they're up there to roost for the night. But if they during the day and at a time like this they were up in the trees, we would know something was not right and that we should be on the lookout for some sort of predator. So they're a nice indicator, much more reliable than what you see from the squirrels. If they are alarm calling, you generally know something is up. They're such odd birds, aren't they? The way that they kind of run around, spend their time on the ground, that very prehistoric looking head that they have, bright blue in coloration as well. It's all quite odd. You would expect a bird that's hunted so much by varying predators that it would try and be a bit more camouflaged like the francolins, but for some reason guinea fowls have managed to survive and proliferate even though they do have bright blue heads and move around. Right, now I believe that we've said hello to Brent and we've said hello to Tayla, and I've said hello to, but there's one member of the team that's been missing this morning who's now out and ready to go and wants to say hello, so let's quickly jump across to Jamie and see what she's been up to for the morning.
Hello, good morning, and I'm sorry I'm late. My name is Jamie, and this morning Fergus is on camera with me. Hello. And basically the story is I meant to set my alarm for, I'm going to be honest, I meant to set my alarm for 4:30, but I actually woke up at 5:30. And we had a really long way to go because we were off on a 2-day adventure to go off in search of cheetah. And I left late, unfortunately. But we're out, we're here on the sunrise safari, and apparently the zebra this morning are having quite a lazy morning as well. I'm so sad the one's up now, because one of them was out cold. He was fast asleep on its side. And there we go. It's been a bit of a chilly morning this morning. The sun's taken a while to break through the clouds. And I think that these zebra are just really enjoying a little bit of time in the sun Warming up after a cold night. Oh, isn't that just the best? Use the dirt to get to all those itches on its back. I love watching zebra roll in the dirt. It is so thoroughly entertaining because they really look like they're having fun. Yes, we're talking about you. Yes, we are. Don't forget to send through your questions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. It sounds as though we had quite a dramatic morning with Brent. Our plan for the morning is to check across for the Ridge Pride, see if we can find them. Bless you, Fergus. You're right there.
Sorry, I was trying to do that surreptitiously.
And I called you out. Apologies. Fergus having a little sneeze in the back. So we're going to go search for Blackie and Lipstick and the Ridge Pride. Blackie and Lipstick. Blackie and Lipstick for our new viewers. Guess what Blackie and Lipstick are? Yes, guess what they are? They are male lions, magnificent male lions, really beautiful, massive, black-maned male lions. They are known as collectively as the 4 kilometer boys, with a Z. Please don't forget the Z, otherwise it's just not right. While we look at stripy zebras, you're wondering about, another roll in the ground, and we've been talking a little bit about lions. You're wondering about whether there are any other cats without spots or stripes apart from lions. Technically, lions do have spots, actually. They do actually have spots if you look on their bellies that are sort of they're remaining there from when they were cubs. It's more prominent on the lioness than it is on a male lion. But you will see that all female lions do have remnants of spots. Wild cats don't have spots. They have patterns on the backs of their ears, but they don't have spots. So there's an example of a cat that doesn't. In terms of big cats, let's think throughout the world. Mountain lions? Cougars and pumas? I don't know if they've got little...
Caracal?
Caracal don't have spots. There we go. Caracal's a very good one. Caracals don't have spots. And they don't have stripes. They do have black tufty ears, which are beautiful, but they are russet red in colour and not spotty or stripy at all. Now, the interesting thing, of course, is why things have spots and stripes, and nobody actually knows while we watch the zebra scratch its head. Well, it's not that nobody knows, it's just that there's differences in opinion as to why zebra have stripes in the way that they do, because they are, of course, the only thing that has lots of things of spots, but they are the only thing that has black and white stripes. So the question is, why do they have black and white stripes? And there's a couple of different explanations. One, of course, is the camouflage, particularly when they're running together in a big herd. It's disruptive coloring, so it breaks up their outline and it makes it difficult to single out an individual. Second is thermoregulation. That's a theory that's been put forward. Black stripes heat up faster than white stripes, creating microcurrents of air across the skin to help to cool the blood. And then there is also the idea of interfering with insects' vision. So there are biting flies, there are all kinds of flying, biting insects, and the idea is that the stripes actually interfere with their landing strategy, and because they can't see properly, the idea is that it disrupts them. It doesn't always work, because you will find flying, biting insects like tsetse flies on zebra, but one of the papers that I read suggested that it's a great deal less than on other animals. So there you go, talking of patterns of skin and coloration. There's a couple of different explanations as to why zebbies have stripes. It works out very well for us because it makes them very photogenic. Fantastic to photograph in black and white. Yes, absolutely. The tsetse flies are active with all of the rains. I got nabbed by one probably, I would say, about a week ago when I was on the other side of the river, which is where I am now. Yay! Yes, the tsetse flies are out and about. There's certain areas that are worse than others, and we actually found a few, apparently. They don't seem to like me, which is unusual, because most things like me. Most insects like to bite me, is what I was trying to say. And I find that tsetse flies don't tend to target me in particular. They really, really like Brent. Ferg, how have you been with the tsetse flies?
I haven't had one here, but in Zambia they thought I was very tasty.
So in Zambia, the tsetse flies really enjoyed biting ferg. They are, of course, more numerous there. And the nice thing here is that the wind helps to keep them at bay. So yes, the tsetse flies are active. I've only been bitten about 3 times since I arrived in the Mara. Brent's probably on around about 100, and he'll probably get some strange and peculiar variation of sleeping sickness to go with his 29 cases of malaria. Something somewhere around that region. But yes, the tsetse flies are out. And so are the regular flies, actually. Oh, he beat me to it. Speaking of Brent, he has already made his way across the Runkai Valley, which is what I was going to try and do, but he had a massive head start. And he's gone from battling lion coalitions to, I hope, a relatively peaceful cheetah coalition.
Indeed. What a morning. It's a morning of 5s. 5 male lions, 5 cheetah boys. And there they are. There are some topi around, but they are well aware that the cheetahs are here. Now, it looks like they're taking a break. They do look quite hungry, the cheetah. So there are some wildebeest across the next valley, so they might be heading in that general direction. Now, topi, don't get too cheeky. These are the musketeers, after all. As you can see, they're paying almost no attention to the topi. Remember, this is live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. There we go. Topi snorting at the general direction of the 5 boys. Well, 2 of them seem to have spotted something behind us. As I said, there are some herds of wildebeest around, and actually some not too far away. If they start looking a little bit to their right, they might notice there's wildebeest much closer. But there are a herd of Tommies there as well that are keeping a close eye on them. What a magnificent morning in the Mara. Now, on the 5 boys, I think they're still quite hungry. I think they might hunt. So